Mark Henry gets another shot at the WWE Championship against John Cena, and he's going to lose. I mean,
That's
it
sad.
sucks, but
That's a foregone conclusion that's going to happen.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Honest, it sucks because the big rumor going into SummerSlam is Cena versus Bryan, but they've hit on something with this Mark Henry feud. And honestly, if it were me, I'd scrap plans and just keep it going. I think Mark Henry really has caught on as the heel, especially after that performance he put on with his retirement. I want to see more of this. I think Mark Henry is that dragon for the White Knight of John Cena to slay, and which they've been lacking for so long. They really haven't had an What was that?
No, I was going to say, well, apparently not. If nobody gives him any two shots at winning, he's not that big of a threat now, is he?
That's from a that's from an insider perspective. I mean, we all know he's going to lose just because we know how WWE functions. But from a fan perspective, just looking at it, I would want to see more of this. I think they've built up Mark Henry as really a viable threat and one of the few viable heels that WWE has built in terms of somebody that can go toe-to-toe with John Cena believably. From a fan, I want to see more of this. Insider-wise, I know he's not going to win because I know they're going to probably move on to Bryan versus Cena, which is the big matchup they've been saying they want to do for SummerSlam.
It's the better match for SummerSlam, too. I see this thing kind of going down like definitely a better version, like Cena versus R-Truth from a few years ago, where it's like that one pay-per-view program for John Cena before he starts his big late summer fall program.
You know, I'm going to reiterate a common theme that I bring up when we're in situations like this, and Miguel kind of touched on it. Try to lose touch with that smarter fan that so many of us have inside of us these days as we've gotten older and we've gotten ourselves on the internet. Once again, me wishing that the internet never existed in the world of wrestling. Just look at how cool this match is. I mean, Mark Henry, as hot as he's been even the last couple of years, I don't know if he's ever been hotter after that speech he just did and going into this with John Cena. People are excited for Mark Henry in a way that they've never been before. And you know what? It's not like Mark Henry hasn't been a guy who's been there, been reliable for him. He's also a guy who goes out there and does the Make-A-Wish and the Be a Star and all that other stuff that the company likes their guys to do. Why is it completely absurd that Mark Henry could get a surprise title victory?
See, I'm excited for the match for the aspect that Mark Henry is going into it really hot. And I do really like Mark Henry. I think that if he won the title, I would be really happy about it. But I would also be shocked about it. And that's just because even if you put that aside and you go into it with like that kind of a kayfabe sort of sense, I just don't see it happening. So if they do have Henry win, I'll be really shocked. And that'll probably make it even cooler. I'm sure it would. I shouldn't say probably. It definitely will.
Yeah.
But as much as I do think that Henry could end up coming out of this looking good and that maybe there's a slight chance that he could do it, I can't put any stress on, or any hopes, I should say, on him winning, because if I do, then I'm going to get my hopes up and then I'm going to be disappointed.
You know what, the big reason why I'm big on Mark Henry is, like I said before, it's been a very long time since WWE has built up a heel that is credible against John Cena. Yeah, they've put heels against him before, but from a fan perspective, how many of them actually looked like they had a shot, aside from CM Punk? How many were on the same level as John Cena? Not many. This is the first guy in a long time that I can think of to where, from a fan perspective, as just somebody watching it, you do get the sense of this guy could give John Cena a run for his money. This guy could go toe-to-toe with him and really pose a threat. They've built him up as such. And that's why I'm really excited, and that's why I want to see more of this. This is one of the few John Cena programs that I want to see continue, and that's something. Plus, I'd love to see Mark Henry win the belt just because they've never had a full black champion before, aside from The Rock, but he's only half black.
Well, The Rock won it more than once, so.
Yeah, I guess it kind of evens out fractions-wise. Mm-hmm. But Mark Henry, that'd be a nice little thing to hang for being a company guy, to be able to hang that on your wall saying, I was the first black WWE champion. It makes all those years.
They've never had a sexual chocolate WWE champion.
But he's following in the footsteps of his fellow Nation of Domination member, The Rock, and being the biggest threat to John Cena this year. And John Cena overcame his biggest threat after losing to his biggest threat. So, yeah, it's an interesting program. Certainly give them credit for that. And the video packages of Mark Henry's ruse have certainly been top notch. I think those are worth at least kind of giving a nod to. Yeah, they've been doing a good job building it up. So it might end here, it might not. We'll just have to wait and see. But I fully believe that Cena will be retaining the championship on Sunday.
Mm-hmm. And if you're talking about cash-ins, now this is where I think that somebody's going to get cashed in on. And I mentioned it in the Bleacher Report articles, but Mark Henry twice has been involved in attacking somebody before they got cashed in on. And I do think that Cena's going to get cashed in on here. And I'll kind of talk about that a little bit more when we get to that Money in the Bank. But
the problem is that all of the people in the Money in the Bank this year for the WWE title are faces. You're gonna have a face cash in on on John Cena.
Because I think we're getting a heel turn.
Depends on who wins it. I'd have to look to see.
Brian's gonna win it, and I see Brian going heel.
I'm going to disagree with that, but we'll talk about that when we get to that Money in the Bank thing. As far as this WWE title match, I do think that this is going to have some really good parts to it, and I think it's going to have some really shit parts to it. The good parts are going to be the parts where Mark Henry does look good, but I don't want to see them do the same rut kind of a thing that they're used to doing, where this is going to be about John Cena can't pick up Mark Henry, and he falls, and then he ends up picking him up, and he ends up actually winning the match and oversells everything, and oh my god, he ends up being fantastic.
It's going to be 30 minutes of Mark Henry beating up John Cena, and then 2 minutes of John Cena just, AA, five knuckle shuffle, AA, and pin.
Yes, that I don't want to see, and if that's the case, it doesn't matter how much of a Mark Henry fan I am, I'm not going to enjoy it. Now, if he comes out on top, then it'll be more interesting, but I just don't think that he will.
I'm gonna put my smarkness aside, and I'm gonna vote Mark Henry. I know that gives Braden points. I don't care. I'm going to vote Mark Henry. Mark Henry for the win.
It deserves some goddamn 20 points. Is that how much they are for pay-per-view match? Or are they 10? I forget.
I forget offhand.
What about for titles? Do titles matter?
I don't know if they do or not. I don't really know how the point system works fully, and we're like this far into it already.
You get more for titles.
Okay. Well, that makes it all the more my soon-to-be loss all the more souring.
What do you think, Brandon?
Yeah, I kind of am. I'm kind of torn between it, where I would love to see Mark Henry win that title because it's everything that his career deserves. I mean, this guy's a Hall of Famer, no question about it now. But then the logical side of me is I don't really see them taking the belt off Cena yet. I still think they're building towards something with Cena and somebody else down the road. Don't know what that is, but I'm sure that keeping the belt on him, whether it be another feud with Punk or what, I think it's going to say. But again, I would not be upset if Mark Henry wins. I would, consider it a guy's career accomplishment. If he does win, I could totally see them using a cash in right then and there because, again, he's not going to be around past this year. I mean, I think we're witnessing Mark Henry's real last months in the WWE.
That's why I think he should get the belt if that's going to be the case.
Just like his swan song, let him get the belt, honorary title. He can say former WWE champion, even though it was for 5 minutes. Technically, he still won the title.
Dolph Ziggler cashes in on him.
Dolph Ziggler cashes in on him, or somebody, yeah.
Brian?
I see Cena retaining, and I see a cash-in. And I'm still going to go with Brian cashing in. So.
And Peyton's going with Mark Henry, right?
Yes. No, maybe.
What percentage would you give him?
70.
74 Mark Henry to win?
Yes.
Huh. All right, that'll be interesting. And that's going to take us into the next part here, which is going to be the first of 2 Money in the Bank matches. And the first one we're going to talk about is one that doesn't really have a name to it yet. because they can't find 5 minutes to figure out a name for it like they did with the other one. But what the hell, if the other one's called the All-Stars, we could just kind of call this the Mid-Carders or something along that line. So
Stars in the making.
I call it the next big thing.
So that first up, Money in the Bank coming your way in the next part.